Exhorder have just released a new album, which is their second post-comeback album called Defectum Omnium, and we will see if we can stop comparing them to Pantera. First, I'll do a quick history, talk about the songs, then I'll give my final thoughts and score. You might be wondering why they get compared to Pantera, because it probably should be the other way around. This band was playing thrash and groove back when Pantera was still teasing their hair and playing glam metal. They even released their debut album a few short months after Pantera released what people thought was their debut, called Cowboys from Hell. Their first album was called Slaughter in the Vatican, and it had more of a thrash metal sound, but you could still hear the groove metal elements. This was not as popular as Cowboys from Hell because, one, it was called Slaughter in the Vatican, and two, the art shows a group of people gathering to see the Pope being executed by guillotine. And look at the art within the art. There's a picture of one guy nailed to a post getting some type of medieval colonoscopy. And my favorite one is a picture of soldiers in a war, and it has Jesus up in the sky saying, like, what the fuck? After that, they released The Law in 1992, and when that came out, it came out 2 weeks after Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power. This one went full groove metal. Out of all their albums, that was the most like Pantera sounding. When they broke up in 1994, and they had a few reunions over the years, but then they released a comeback album in 2019 called More in the Southern Skies. This album continued the sound they had on their previous album. Now, they released a follow-up, and let me see if their sound has evolved since then, or is it just another Pantera-sounding record. First, before I go into my review, I'll show a clip of Kyle Thomas talking about how he wanted this album to sound, and then I'll talk more about the songs, but watch this first.
A whole lot of this, like the old Black Sabbath, Beatles, Led Zeppelin albums, that, you know, peaks and valleys, different sounding songs, not the same thing over and over again.
The opening track is called Wrath of the Properties, and this one comes right out the gate with some heavy and fast-paced groove metal. I also heard a little bit of southern metal in the song. You could tell that the guitars are tuned down and the vocals are very harsh, but you can still understand what is being said. The song has some nice grooves in the middle of the song. There's a breakdown where they bring in some harmonized leads. I thought it was a good song to open the album. It was very representative of their sound, because there will be a few songs later on here where they start to experiment a little more. Under the Gaslight is next. This one continues with a groove metal sound. I thought this was another strong track. It had a catchy sound, some heavy guitar riffs. There were some nice grooves on the song. It was another one that was pretty representative of their sound. The next song is Forever and Beyond Despair, and this is where they start to change it up a little. The song starts off like some hardcore punk. It's fast, it's angry. The song's about 3 minutes long, but about halfway through it, they change it up with some slower grooves and even some thrashier guitar riffs, and then they return to that hardcore sound. I like the song. They packed a lot of different ideas into this short 3-minute song. The Tale of Unsound Minds is another one where they change it up again. Here they go for more of a slow doom metal sound. The song has some slow and heavy guitar riffs in the first part. They also change the tempo at one point in the song, and there's another section with some cool bass guitar grooves. Thought it was another good one. Comes after some faster paced songs, so it adds some variety in the pacing of the album. If you like heavy, sludgy riffs, it's a cool song to check out. They change it up again with Divide and Conquer. It's a short 2.5-minute thrash and groove metal type of song. I like this one. It had a memorable chorus and some nice grooves. They also slowed it down, and it gets sludgy at one point as well. They let us know they can put a lot of different ideas into their songs. I also noticed on this album they have a lot of variations in their song lengths. They can go from under 3 minutes or up to 7.5 minutes. Year of the Goat is another short song, and this one is a heavy groove metal song. It might be the most like Pantera sounding song on the album. There's even one part where vocalist Kyle Thomas tries to emulate Phil Anselmo, and don't try to convince me he's not trying to do this, but Nonetheless, it's a good song. It's just a heavy groove metal song. Lots of cool galloping styled guitar riffs. We're about halfway through the album, and the next few songs are the longer ones. Taken by Flames is another one where they slow it down. They give us some sludgy guitar riffs, some deep guttural vocals. The band Crowbar comes to mind here. That makes sense because they toured with them in the past. They speed it up in the second half of the song. I'm also noticing that this band does not stick to one style or one particular style in one song. A lot of these songs are kind of hybrids of different genres, or at least that was what I was hearing. Defectum Omnium Stolen Hope is next. It's like a two-part song. It's like the first one has this weird intro with chanting in Latin. It made me think of that scene in Monty Python's Holy Grail where the monks are hitting their head with the books, and it goes on for about 2 minutes, and then the next part of the song kicks off, and it's some heavy groove or thrash metal. Then they slow it down to a crawl, comes to some of that like sludge metal with like southern groove, and you hear some of that like Phil Anselmo style in the vocals. There are also some cool bass guitar grooves. I thought this was not too bad, even if it sounded a little derivative of those slower Pantera songs. This goes into 3 stages of the truth, slash lacing the well, and I think that these were like a 4-point song, or a 4-part song, where like the first part of the song is an instrumental on this one, and then there's some like classical music with clean guitar tones. Then the next part of the song is called Lacing the Well. It's a heavier track with some stop-start guitar riffs, and it goes into some faster grooves. The second half of the song was not too bad. It was a heavy groove track, and another one that was very representative of the sound. The album now has 3 more songs, so let's talk about them. Sedition starts off with a bass guitar intro. It goes into some hardcore punk. This was very different. It shows they're willing to experiment with their sound. The one thing that stands out in the song is the bass playing. It's fast, it's straight to the point. Desensitized is next. This is another fast and heavy groove metal or even thrash metal song. This was one of the more extreme metal sounding songs with blazing speeds and lightning fast guitar riffs. It's pretty straightforward. They don't change up their style. It's just 5 minutes of final song is called You're Six, and this one is a little on the slower side. It has some elements of sludge metal and southern groove. This was another one that reminded me of the band Crowbar. They also had some cool melodies and harmonized guitars. It was a good song to close off the album. Now for my final thoughts, I thought this was a decent follow-up to the last album. They're going for more variety in the sound than this one. There were still a few songs that sounded a lot like Pantera. So, for example, Year of the Goat, which I'm sure was intentional, but throughout the rest of the album, they are finding their own sound, which is a mix of different subgenres such as groove, sludge, doom, southern metal, and hardcore. Overall, I thought it was solid. My score is an 8 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I haven't reviewed any other albums from this band, so I guess I could suggest some Pantera to watch next. So here's my review of Vulgar Display of Power for its 30th anniversary. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you in the next one.